everyone, welcome to another video. So I'm not doing 3 looks 1 palette again because I have some really cool stuff I really want to show you guys. So Glam Shop discontinued their holo shadows sometime last year, and I had been waiting for all of them to come back in stock so I could buy them all at once and just pay shipping once. Well, that never happened. They got discontinued. I ended up getting none of them. Well, I did find out relatively recently they brought back 3 shades only, and the shadows are cheap comparatively, but the shipping is ruthless, so just be prepared for that. With shipping, these are really not any cheaper than Touch of Glam's holographic shadows. There's no real difference in pricing, sadly, unless you do happen to live in Europe, in which case, yes, absolutely, these are pretty affordable shadows. So I really wanted to give them a try. I've been wanting them literally ever since 2020. I've been waiting patiently, and yeah. So I have the 3 shades in this palette here. They came packaged very safely. I have so many random singles I really want to show you guys, but we're gonna start off with these because I'm just the most excited, and I thought it would be fun to go back and dig into my Sydney Grace mattes. I have 2 palettes from Sydney Grace and TEMPTALIA. Okay, I'm gonna use something I haven't used in a really long time. I don't use this because I use the Dominique primer so much, but I'm gonna use the LANEIGE Glowy makeup serum. My skin has just been utterly awful. I have some samples of Peter Thomas Roth retinol and Sunday Riley lactic acid, and I've been using those liberally, and I think those are definitely helping preventing things from getting worse. But yeah, my skin has been really bad, and yes, I popped more nails off. I was gonna put them back on, but I think I'll just put on a new set. Okay, so hydrated skin, and then this it's a matte foundation, so I am gonna put some Pat McGrath primer, and I'm literally just gonna use like a super tiny dot. I'm gonna use this much so that it just goes right in my inner part of my face. I'm just gonna blur the pores that are right here. I really want to try the Chantecaille Rose tint. It looks like a base. It looks kind of like a more expensive version of what is essentially a tone-up cream. I don't know why, but I really want to try it. I wish I had infinite money. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to put on some under eye primer. So we're going to have a super hydrated base. So yeah, my skin is super glowy right now, which is good because the Valentino foundation is matte. Alright, and then this foundation, it's actually surprisingly liquidy for being matte. It's very runny, very watery. Yeah, you can see how liquid it is. When I first pumped it out, I was like, oh, did I like not shake it? I was worried it might have come a little separated and I need to shake it, but as it turns out, it really is just that liquidy. So in the sample packs, it only had like the lightest shade, and then it went straight down into being too tan for me to use. But I noticed watching other people use foundations, I noticed when Michelle Wong used it, she used the shade I thought I would get, and I do know for a fact that she is a little more tan than I am. So I decided to ultimately just go with the lightest shade because it worked for me in the sample pack. So I'll just get a whole bottle of that because I cannot try this shade in stores anywhere near me. Sometimes I don't dry my sponge enough. My skin is super dewy right now just because my sponge was super wet. Okay, I dried out my sponge a little bit, just squeezed it against my leg. Honestly, it's not really that bad of a shade match for me. It's only maybe ever so slightly lighter, but the undertone, despite claiming it's rosier, the undertone actually suits me really well. So. And then as usual, I just put a teeny little smidgen on my forehead. So as you can see, it's not necessarily super full coverage. I'll put a little more kind of on my cheeks where I have all those dots. But you can definitely tell that it's not gonna give you super full coverage, but I would say it is a solid medium coverage. And the thing I don't like about a lot of luxury foundations is that they tend to really over advertise their coverage. Like, it feels like in the world of luxury, you kind of have to do like Google Translate, where it's like if it says it's medium buildable, it's sheer. If it says it's sheer, it's not even worth getting. And if it says it's medium buildable to full, it's definitely extremely medium and it's not going to build up to full. Like, I feel like that about a lot of luxury foundations on the market. And that's why I haven't used my Pat McGrath one lately, is because it's really sheer, and I don't want to have sheer foundation when my skin is in this kind of state. I need to cover this stuff up. My sponge was way too wet when I first used it, so my pores are a little bit more emphasized than normal, but I promise you, the first couple times I used this and everything was fine, it literally looked gorgeous. So this time I just accidentally used a drenched sponge, which don't do that. And it wore really well too the first couple times I used it. So that's what it looks like. I think it's really nice. It's not as matte as the Givenchy one. I finally got my SHISEIDO GelStick concealer in the mail. It was the last thing to arrive. I bought 3 things from the Macy's 15% off sale from SHISEIDO, and they arrived in 3 separate boxes, which is so annoying. Like, who does that? So I'm gonna use the shade 101 and I'm interested in trying this. I've definitely said before that I am always looking for the next best cream formula concealer. It being SHISEIDO, I obviously have really high expectations. And I've been really enjoying using the SHISEIDO. I talked in a previous video how this brush catfished me. I thought it was flat and it's not. But I have come to appreciate this brush for being able to buff the edges of my concealer very quickly with minimal effort. So once I spread it out with my Clinique brush, which is what I've used for years at this point, I kind of just tap the edges out with this SHISEIDO brush, and it's kind of like a better version of my finger. And then I feel like I get really good coverage. Yeah, that's pretty good. This is not bad. Good first impression. I'll keep using this. And I didn't use color corrector this time because I just wanted to see how this performs on its own. It definitely feels thinner and more emollient than my JX one, but that could also just be due to the age of my JX product. My JX one is, I think, it's at least 3 years old, which is ancient for a cream product, but it's still good, so I keep using it. Okay, concealer is on. I wouldn't consider this to be as full coverage as my JX one, but it has a very elegant finish. It went on very, very thinly, so I feel like I look at my eyes and I just don't see product on my face, and I didn't really feel it on my skin either as it spread out. Okay, so far good deal. Today I'm going to go in with the Kaleidos Charisma Contour Palette. I just haven't used it in a while. It's warm and medium because I guess they discontinued it, which sucks so bad. I wish they would bring it back, but I guess it's gone now. I only use the top 2 shades of warm and medium, and I mix the top 2 shades so that it's not super dark, and I'm gonna just use this to add some shading. So shading, no shading. And then a little bit of the extra goes under my nose. Some setting spray before I put on powder. I'm going to use the Bobbi Brown Sheer Finishing Powder today. Honestly, it's a really good powder. I do really like it. It seems kind of boring, but it's just super reliable. This is the powder that I bring when I travel because if I break it, I know I can replace it. It's very easy and readily available for me to just kind of pop into a store and replace. And it's really pretty too, so I don't know why. It is a really pretty powder. I guess it's not super flashy or fancy, which is why I feel like it gets overlooked. But it is a super solid powder. I would recommend it if you are, looking for a pressed powder in the price range of Bobbi Brown, which not everyone is. But if you are, I don't think you would be disappointed in this. It's very easy to use and I don't really feel like it dries out my skin. And I used a pretty matte foundation today, but it looks really good. It is humid out today. It's gonna be in the 90s this weekend, so I do use more powder during the summer in the south. It's just a matter of fact. Okay, I'm gonna use some eye primer, and today I'm going to use the Peiliee base. I'm gonna need it. I fully expect to need that, and I'm probably going to use glitter glue as well. The hollows are pretty chunky. I'm not going to be able to use all the hollows. The thing about hollows is if you stack hollow eyeshadows too much, you're just going to get a lot of gray. That's the tricky part, is that a bad quality hollow shadow just ends up looking super gray. And even a good hollow shadow in really dim or dull lighting, or just lighting that isn't conducive to showing the hollow shifts, are going to make your eyes look gray as well. It's just kind of a fact of life with hollows. If you have holographic nail polish and you just look at it in certain lighting, if it looks gray, your eyes are going to look gray too. Eyebrows are next. I'm using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil, and just for the sake of the length of this video, I'm gonna just more or less skip it. Glossier Brow Flick. My eyebrows are on. I'm gonna move on to the eyes. Okay, so I definitely don't want to put on too much matte shadow because I want to make sure I have a really good canvas for putting on the hollow shadow. I'm gonna go into Sydney Grace and Temptalia on the horizon, which is going to be this palette here, and I'm going to use this matte shade here and this matte shade here. So you'll see me kind of flipping. So I'm going to speed through that part and we're gonna get over it real quick. This shade is kind of hard too, and I really can't remember if it was always that way or if it's just age, but I have a hard time believing that powder shadows, especially matte ones, could age this quickly. And this is why indie brands sometimes make me a little nervous, because it's like, sure, the palette is really pretty and fun when you use it when it first arrives, but if you break it out again a year later, or if you're constantly using it and then a couple months later, is it gonna be already too bad to use? But I can't remember if the mattes have always been this way or not. I'm gonna have to like look. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it there and I'm gonna go ahead and go straight into the mattes. I'm gonna keep diving into these to see if like they just age really bad or if I just have a faulty memory. I'm definitely gonna fiddle around with those more. And this is why sometimes you probably shouldn't have as many eyeshadow palettes as I do. Like, you know, sometimes you shouldn't, maybe. Okay, I'm gonna dig into my NYX glitter glue. I do really want to get the Fire and Pixie Epoxy. I just haven't really gotten around to it yet because I feel like this one's okay. I'm gonna use a pretty liberal amount of it. And I left this area blank on purpose. So I put it very generously. So I'm gonna do one eye at a time for obvious reasons. So I'm gonna go into Rose Gold Holo here. I'm having faith that this will save our look. I'm interested in seeing what a brush can do with these. And you can see on the brush how chunky it is. So exercising all due caution, I'm gonna work this onto my eyelid. Yes, these are chunky. Okay, I'm gonna switch. I think finger is gonna definitely be the safest bet. Yes, very, very soft. You can see all the residue on my finger. So I'm just gonna switch to using a finger. And pretty instantly, I'm getting some really impressive payoff here. And I am just so I literally just do my finger and I just go like this, like. That's how I dip into the pan because it's so loosely pressed. Do not rub and push and pull. You're gonna pull all the pigment apart in the pan. And that's what it looks like on my eyelid. Oh my goodness. I am shooketh to my coreth. I'm amazed. I am bespectacled. I am in awe. I am bedazzled, amazed, surprised, unexpected, entranced. It would really be a shame for me to not demo the other holos, so I think I'm going to use a different holo on my lower lash line. I am definitely going to need a brush for this, so I'm going to go into the Fancy Holo. It's their classic holo, like kind of like just like silver holo, although this one seems to have, from the swatches, it has a little bit of pink and purple in it. I'm gonna just push it in. And it is just so opaque too, so you really don't need much. I'm gonna spread it down a little bit and just kind of use my finger to make it kind of just merge into my skin a little better. Okay, so that is Rose Gold Holo on my top eyelid and Fancy Holo on my bottom. Definitely you need a glitter glue for these. No negotiation. I could not see how this would work without being a total catastrophe. Glitter Fallout City without using glitter glue. So just by tapping lightly, I get all this nice pigment pickup. And I kind of am just layering. I do want to make sure it's nice and blended from the matte to the holo. So I'm going to go in thin layers. You can see how you could shear it out and make it just like a veil of color. So these do not have to be stacked full opacity. This is the serotonin hit that I needed today. And now I'm going to put Fancy Holo on my lower lash line. There's probably a better brush than just this sharp angled brush that I feel like is stabbing me every time I poke my lower lid. But I cannot find it right now and I'm lazy. My eye's a little watery because the brush, honestly, it's a brow brush and it very clearly, it behaves like one and it feels like one, and I really need to stop using this on my eyes. So this is what it looks like. I'm really genuinely so shocked at how beautiful these are. I was just not expecting this. I swear, it was just not, I didn't expect it to look like this. I am so pleasantly amazed. And I do want to finish off the inner corner with some other indie single that I might not have featured on this channel yet, or not featured enough of. I'm gonna use this shade here, this very fiery metallic. It's got a rosy hue to it. It is from the Divina collection. It's Fire Hunt. It's one of those, I was debating which one to get, Terra Moons or Divina, the kind of really metal inspired ultra foiled metallics. I ended up getting Divina, but I think based on how flaky these are, I might have preferred Terra Moons instead, so I'm considering going back and getting those. I already have some on my fingers, so we'll just go with it. These are super flaky and thick, so I highly recommend a glitter glue for these, But if you're just going for like kind of a more sheer inner corner, like right here, it's not really super necessary. Okay, and I'm going to use a different angled brush, this time from BH Cosmetics. This one is actually meant for the eyes. It's an eyeliner brush, so it should be a lot softer feeling. And I'm just going to brighten up that lower lash line a tinge. Okay, I'm gonna put on some lashes and then I'll be right back to finish up the rest of my face of makeup. I have gone on for long enough. Okay, it took some fussing because I can never seem to get my lashes to stick. I feel like I need to find a different lash glue as opposed to this duo one because it just never seems to work, or maybe I just don't wait for it to get tacky long enough. But I use the Doe Lashes more Cloud 9. These are LO 1.0 lashes, so you can't actually get these anymore. I love Cloud 9 1.0 over 2.0 by a long shot, so you bet I'm gonna wear these until they fall apart. I'm gonna use this purple one here. It'll kind of go with the rose gold of the look. This is the Urban Decay one in Alkaline. So I'm just gonna use this, and hopefully it hasn't like dried out or anything. It's not that old. And I'm just going to draw a wing. Forgot this is not actually that dark. Okay, so I just added some liner. It's honestly barely visible, but at the same time it just kind of adds a little bit more structure to my look overall. And especially with the inner corners being a little bit darkened up, it just feels like my eyes have a lot more shape. So we're gonna go with that. So today I'm gonna use the Pat McGrath palette in the shade Galactic Sun. It's gonna be the one that the holiday one. I don't think you can get this as a palette anymore, but you definitely can still get the blushes as singles. I'm gonna be using this Spectrum kind of stippling brush. I have been loving this recently for blush application because it creates such a sheer application. I really feel like I can just layer and build until I get it right without overdoing it. And as usual, I tend to put my blush higher on my face. I do not like putting it super down low. Drags my whole face down. I'm gonna kind of apply it a little more horizontally than normal to kind of make my face appear a little bit less long, because I have like a long horse face, you know? And I just dotted a little bit on my nose. And then I haven't actually featured this on my channel yet because I haven't had a good reason to use it. As you guys know, I do really like the Super Shock highlighters from ColourPop, but specifically I only like them in the plastic packaging. I don't like the quads or anything. I just want to collect all of these, and I'm so sad there's so many that I'm missing that never came back, like the Chinese New Year one, to name one for example, that I just don't have. This is from their apricot collection, Addicted to You. I think this is a good chance to use it, right? So I'm just going to swirl it with my finger. This one in particular is like so particularly smooth feeling. This is a lot more intense than my coral one. It's kind of different in terms of finish. The coral one is a lot more translucent than this one. This one feels more like a traditional Super Shock highlighter. It's not better or worse, it's just different, although I do think the coral one is kind of more unique. Not that I really want to buy from ColourPop anymore. I don't even know if I want to feature them on my channel anymore right now. They just announced that they're collabing with Harry Potter and I was just like, I'm gonna use Revelation on my nose because I like it. Flower Nose, please add me to your PR list. This is not currently on their website. Looks like it's sold out. I hope they come back. I don't know if their collections are all limited edition or if they'll bring them back. Flower Nose, please bring back Cupid. I beseech you. And then the rest on my chin. So you can see with the highlighter, kind of add that glass glow back to my face. I'm gonna line my lips and finish up this long video. My lips don't really feel as juicy hydrated as they did with the raspberry lip balm. I wonder if maybe there's like a layer I need to break through, like I really need to rub it down and kind of take off that topmost layer and then it'll be better. I definitely want to do something glossy. My lips are super dry today. I'm gonna try this. I don't actually think I've used this on camera yet. I got this at JCPenney. It was half off. It was the Rare Beauty Stay Vulnerable Glossy Lip Balm in Nearly Rose. I got this half off at JCPenney, so I only paid like, what, $9 for this? And I really like it, but I haven't actually used it on camera yet. I think this will be perfect. It's like, it's the same color as my lips pretty much, just slightly pinker and a little bit more saturated. It does have a really lovely balm-like formula, definitely part of like that balmy lip gloss phase that we are all currently in right now, which I love that, by the way. No complaints from me. And with how shriveled and wrinkly my lips are today, I'm gonna use this to hide them. It is definitely really balmy. It's not as non-sticky as other balmy glosses, but it is still really nice. So I'm just gonna put that all over. Really nice shine. It doesn't really have any kind of cooling or plumping effect. I don't really necessarily think it's as good as other balmy glosses I've used. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. It's not got that watery glassy formula that Korean tints have. As you can see, it kind of has like a milkiness to it where it's not truly transparent. I would say it almost feels like it has a milkiness to it, like it's cloudy, but I'm not using that word in a bad way. I know we use cloudy to describe liquids that are super suspicious, so it sounds like a bad descriptor, but for me it's just an objective one. It's not, has no positive or negative opinions attached. It's just this feels cloudier, whereas the Korean ones tend to be clear. So, but as you can see, I don't feel like it completely conceals my lip lines. Like I feel like other glosses do better, but it does have a really pretty color. It feels really nice. It's very hydrating and it's like 10% sticky. So for the price I got it for, I'm not complaining. I don't really think I'd pay full price for one though. My bangs are really oily, so please disregard. I do need to wash my hair and I'm gonna wash it tomorrow. So this is gonna be the finished look. Again, please ignore my filthy, horrible, disgusting bangs. This is kind of like, it's like a super neutral, boring look, but then you look closer, you see all the hollow and it's like actually pretty cool. The Sydney Grace mattes, I'm gonna have to go back and test those. They were really hard in the pan. I felt like I couldn't get any pigment off of them and it's just not, it doesn't feel right to me for Sydney Grace mattes to behave that way. So either I'm misremembering how good Sydney Grace mattes actually are, or they dried and changed formula on me, which I do believe the Sydney Grace and TEMPTALIA collection came out literally 1 or 2 years ago. So that is, it's within the lifespan indicated on the packaging, but generally speaking, eyeshadows I feel like really shouldn't last that short of a time. So like, I feel like I've been into makeup for long enough that I'm gonna start seeing things go off in my collection soon, and that's gonna be so sad when that happens. I'll just have to like display them in a shadow box or something, I guess. Valentino foundation I really like. Everything else on my face, honestly, I do like. So I've had no misses today. I'm gonna continue to use the Shiseido concealer stick. And so yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be this look. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!